るスピードでいきます。初動画。うん。ちょっと待って。Have you ever had this experience? ちょっと待って。ちょっとちっちゃい。
Telling yourself, today I must focus. But have you ever
had this experience? You sit down at your desk telling yourself, today I must focus. But after an hour passes, you've always written 2 lines of notes. Somehow you ended up scrolling and watching 10 short videos. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? The truth is, this doesn't mean you're lazy, norちょっと下げます。8。
You've only
written 2 lines of notes. Somehow, you ended up scrolling through your phone and watching 10 short videos. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? The truth is, this doesn't mean you're lazy, nor does it mean you lack willpower. The real reason our brain simply isn't used. Psychological research tells us that focus and learning efficiency aren't about forces or endless self-discipline. They can actually be by understanding us. Today, I'm going to share with you 7 classic psychological effects. They're not accomplished theories, but practical tools. And once you apply them, you will realize that learning can become more efficient, longer lasting, and surprisingly easy. Are you ready? Let's dive in.
Imagine you
are at a lively
the music is loud,
party, the music loud, and people are chatting. Voices overlap in every direction. But suddenly, someone calls your name, and instantly you hear it clearly. This is known as the cocktail party effect. It shows that our brain has a built-in filter that highlights information related to us, even when you're not consciously paying attention. Now, think about what this means for learning. If the knowledge has no personal connection to you, your brain often treats it as background noise. But if the information feels relevant to your life, it suddenly stands out. For example, when studying the economic concept of supply and demand, the definition may feel abstract. But if you link it to buy a concept ticket, a famous idol ticket seller instantly, and the reseller jacked up the price. High demand. That personal link makes your brain bold memory, making it harder to forget. So when you study, try attaching a personal tag to new knowledge. Think of project management as planning your next vacation, or imagine psychological theories playing out in your relationship with friends. Once knowledge is tied to your life, your brain naturally keeps it. Here is a small exercise. Pick 3 unfamiliar terms today and focus yourself to connection each of them to something in your life and everyday life. You will notice that you no longer feel calm, vivid and memorable.
Our brain's
Our
attention is
brain's
limited.
attention is
It
limited.
works like a
It works
spotlight
like a
on stage.
spotlight on
Only
stage.
one actor can be
Only one
illuminated at
actor
a
can
time.
be illuminated
When the
at the
spotlight
time.
shines
When the
here,
spotlight shines
everything
here,
else
everything
fades into
else
the
fades
background.
into the
That's
in the
why
background. That's why
multitasking often
multitasking
backfires.
often backfires.
You might be
You
replying
might
to
be
messages while
replying
reading
to
a book,
messages while
thinking
reading
you're
a
being
book,
efficient.
thinking you're
But
being
in
efficient.
reality,
But
your
in
spotlight
reality,
keeps
your
shifting.
spotlight keeps
Each switch
shifting.
consumes
Each
energy,
switch consumes
making you
consume.
slower and less accurate. So,
So,
what can you
what
do?
can you do?
Here are
Here
three
are
strategies.
3 strategies.
One.
Strategies.
Pomodoro technique.
1. Pomodoro
Set a timer
technique.
for
Set a
25
timer for
minutes
25
and focus on only
minutes
one
and
task.
focus on
During
only
this time,
one task.
don't
During
check
this
your
time,
phone.
don't check your
Don't
phone.
switch
Don't
windows.
switch windows.
Just keep the spotlight on
on
After
one
the timer
actor.
rings,
After the timer
take a short
rings,
5
take a
minute
short
break.
5-minute break.
your
way,
concentration becomes more
your
intense and sustainable. 2.
Mm,
Clearing ritual.
Clearing
Before
ritual.
you begin,
Before you
clear your
begin,
desk.
clear your
Put your
desk.
phone away.
Put your phone away.
Create a clean
Create a
environment that
clean
signals to your
environment that
brain.
signals to your brain. This is the only task that
right
matters
now.
right now.
It's like keeping
It's like keeping only one actor on
sending
stage
all
and sending all the
backstage.
distractions
3.
backstage.
Break tasks
Break tasks into
steps.
small steps.
Large goals
Large goals
can
overwhelm us.
Instead of saying,
Instead of saying, I need to finish a research paper,
start with,
start with,
I'll write one
I'll
sentence.
write one sentence.
Completing a small
Completing
step
a small
releases
step with
dopamine,
dopamine,
giving you a sense of reward and making it easier
to
to try a quick practice.
continue. Let's try
Set
to
a
quick practice.
25-minute
Set the
timer.
25-minute
Clear
timer.
your desk
Clear your desk
and work on
and
one
work
small
on one
task
small task
until the
timer
rings.
rings.
Feel what
Feel
true
what
focus
your
is
true
like
focus is
when the
like
spotlight
when the
shines
spotlight shines
on just
one place.
Have you noticed?
Have you ever noticed how often you
It's not always lazy.
It's not always
usually
lazy.
because the task
It's
feels too
usually
big.
because the
Our
task
brain
feels too
doesn't know
big
where to
and our
start.
brain
This
doesn't
is
know.
where the Zeigarnik
This is
effect
where
helps.
the
It tells
Zeigarnik
us that our brain remembers
remembers
unfinished
unfinished
tasks
tasks
more
more strongly than finished ones.
In other words,
Once
once you
begin something,
your brain
your
keeps
brain keeps a mental reminder running in background, nudging you
That's
to
why
complete
starting
it.
is more
That's why
important
starting
than
is
finishing.
more important
Even
than
a tiny
finish.
first step
Oh,
is enough to set the process in motion. Say you want to
Say
read
you
a
want
thick
to
book.
read a thick
Instead of
book.
promising
Instead of
to
promising to
finish
finish a whole
just
chapter,
tell yourself, I'll
just
read
telling
one
yourself,
page.
I read one page.
Once you start,
Once you start,
your brain
your brain
often
often says,
well, maybe one more.
maybe one more.
Before you know
Before you know
you
it,
read 5
you've read
pages.
5
Another
pages.
trick is
Another
called
trick is
the
called the
open
open
loop
loop
method. Stop a
method.
task in the
Stop a
middle
task in the
on
middle on
purpose,
purpose, for
Leave a
example.
paragraph
Leave the
unfinished
paragraph
when writing.
unfinished
The next
when
day,
writing.
Your
The
brain
next
will
day,
be eager
your
to pick
brain
it up
will
and
be
finish,
easier to pick
making
it up and
easier
finish,
to get back
making
into
it
flow.
easier to get
Here's a
back
quick
into
practice.
flow.
Grab a book
Grab
and
a
read
book
just
and
one
read
short
just one
passage
short
for
passage
5
for
minutes.
5
Notice
minutes.
how your brain
Notice how your brain
naturally
naturally wants
wants
to keep going.
Have you ever
Have
crammed
you ever
all night
crammed
for an
all
exam,
night for an
only to
exam,
forget
only to forget everything the next day? That's because memory needs time to consolidate. The spacing effect shows that learning spread out over time. Have you ever noticed that?
Think of water.
Plants.
If you dump
a whole bucket of water in one go, most of it runs off,
But
wasted.
if you water a little
But if you water a little
the
each
soil
day, the soil absorbs it,
and
and the roots grow stronger. Memory works the same way. So how can you apply this?
50
vocabulary
words
have
to learn,
50 vocabulary words. Don't try to memorize them all at
Spread them
time.
across
Spread them
3
across 3 days.
and review them at
And review them at
increasing
gradually.
For example, review the next
Review
day,
the next day,
again 3 days later, then a week later,
then a
then
week
a
later,
month later.
a month
Each
later.
interval
Each interval
makes
makes
the
the
memory
memory
stronger.
stronger. Next time you attempted
Remember,
to
your
cram
brain
overnight,
prefers rhythm
remember
and
your brain
spacing,
prefers the rhythm
not
and spacing,
overload.
not the overload.
You've probably heard
You've
the saying,
probably heard
a
that saying, a picture worth a
words.
thousand words.
In
In psychology,
this has
this has
scientific
scientific
support.
support. According to dual coding
Our
theory,
brain processes
our brain processes
through two
information
channels,
through two
verbal
channels,
and
verbal and visual.
When you
When you use both at once, memory becomes much stronger. It's like saving the same file twice in different files.
as an example.
Memorizing Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars
as plain
text
hard.
as
But if you
hard.
also draw
But
a
if you
simple
also
diagram
draw a
showing
simple
their orbits
diagram showing
and
their
pair it
orbit
with a
and
rhyme or
pair
acronym,
with
your brain will lock
your
it in.
brain.
That's why mind
That's
maps,
why mind maps,
diagrams,
diagrams,
and even
and
doodles aren't
even
just
doodles
decorative.
are
They're
not
powerful memory tools. A couple of tips.
a couple of tips.
When you learn
When you learn an
abstract
abstract concept,
sketch a simple diagram.
symbol or diagram.
When memorizing
When memorizing vocabulary, draw a tiny illustration next to it. Even stick figures walks. This little drawing might look childish, but the activation of your brain visual system. So don't just write words, see them too.
Let your eyes
and emerge work together, and your learning will double in power.
Our brain
is naturally selfish in one way.
It
prioritizes
prioritizes
anything connected to ourselves. This is the self-reference effect. Think about it. You might forget every history lesson. If someone tells you you have a great voice, you probably remember it for years. Why? Because it relates to you. That means the best way to remember new knowledge is to tie it to yourself. For example, don't just memorize that. Resilient means able to recover quickly. Instead, say, I'm resilient. When I say face tight,
Now, the word
isn't just a definition, it's part of your identity.
let's say you're learning
Let's say you're learning about the operant conditioning. Instead of memorizing the textbook definition, recall a childhood memory. When you finished your homework, your parents gave you a praise or reward. That personal story comments the theory into memory. So, whenever you study, ask yourself, how does this connect to me? The moment you find that answer, the information becomes unforgettable. Finally, let's talk about something that is affective. Exams, presentation, even work performance, context-dependent theory. Our brain,
where they were formed. For example,
you study in a quiet library where the environment is silent.
Your brain
pairs silence
plus
reading together.
But when you walk into
a noisy class,
the cues don't match. Your mind goes blank. What's the solution?
Simulate the environment where you need
Preparing for exams.
knowledge.
Practice
in a quiet room with only paper and a pen, just like a test. Preparing for a presentation, rehearse in an empty room, empty classroom. So this way, when the real moment comes, the environmental cues will trigger your memory faster. Here's the practice. Next time you study, change your location. Try your desk, then a cafe, then the park. Varying the context helps your memory become more flexible and accessible in any situation. So far, you've explored the 7 powerful psychological effects. These aren't just theories in a textbook, they are practical tools you can use every day. Remember, focus isn't an inborn talent, it's a skill that you can. Learning efficiency isn't reserved for
something anyone
So
starting today,
pick just one of these effects and apply it to your study routine.
You'll be amazed at
how quickly you focus and efficiently improve. And let me leave you with one final thought.
Your brain
plant, you will harvest.
If you nurture
If you
it the right
nurture
way,
it
it will reward
right
you
away, it
with
will
growth
reward you
and
with
abundance.
growth and abundance.
You've only written 2 lines of